So initially, some of our elder scholars, abbots, a little hesitant. Any Western ideas come, they feel a little bit hesitate. So actually, one time, at that time, the Benjamin Takan Lasharo began.
Science.
The change in draw chat to take on changing Minanda Benjamin. I'm sure.
Initially, the Tibetan Library of Tibetan Works and Archives, took the initiative to start this kind of program, teaching science to the monks.
So the abbot, or the leader, director of this organization, because of our institution here, once he told me, when I visit South India, where you see these, because the elder, because of the scholars, abbots, you see, when we gathered, when I give some teaching, most of them used to come. So the director, he just told me, I should speak strongly. Otherwise, some of these old people still a little hesitant. Then accordingly, I also spoke quite strongly. So of course they trusted me. So then eventually, our work started quite smooth. So now these elder people, originally a little bit hesitant, now they also feel very happy. So actually, I think we are expanding human knowledge, external matters, internal our emotions, minds. Then it becomes full. I always see some sort of critics, the existing modern education system, very much one-sided, very much oriented about material value, materialistic. So we, as a living being, as a human being, real troublemaker is not external matters, but here, emotions really create a lot of problems. These man-made problems, which we are seeing, including some Buddhist terrorists. All these are problems, not created through missions, but created here. Then mission become their disposal, right? Oh, mission, like that. So just I met the Australians because of the journalists. In order to solve these problems, in order to bring more peaceful world through prayer, I'm quite, because of this, skeptical. The power of prayer, I don't know. For one individual, yes, very good. Pray and give the individual some kind of inner satisfaction or inner peace. But in terms of humanity, I don't think. I think over 1,000 years, I think at least 2,000, 3,000 years, we human beings always pray to God or to Buddha or to Allah. But still a lot of problems there. So it's quite logical. Who creates this problem? If God creates, then we pray to God, we ask God, please bless us to reduce this problem. But since this is a problem, we created. So responsibility on our shoulder, not God's shoulder, isn't it? As a Buddhist, you see, we can't blame all these problems, you see, to Buddha. No, like that. So therefore, I think the only hope, better world, happier world, very much related with compassionate world. So in that, our work, through scientific way, you see, to show people more warm-hearted person, mentally much calm, much happier. As a result, physical condition also much better. Some scientists say the constant anger, fear, actually eating our immune system. And then one, I think, basis of our real hope is human being nature is more compassionate. I think one occasion our meeting, some scientists, you see, they make in their presentation, you see, they made clear. You see, some very, very young infant child, you see, before the language start, show cartoon picture. One cartoon, you see, show young children play together, helping each other. When that cartoon showing to very, very infant, I think few months old sort of child, show the child's response, smile, happy. Then the picture, two children, you see, showing little negative each other and create some problem to other child. When that shows, when that is seen by the children, infant, little sort of unhappy face. So basic human nature is more gentleness, more compassionate. It's also, you see, logically, we are a social animal. Any social animal, the affection which brings together, that's very important. Anger, express. Love, compassion, affection, bring together. We are a social animal. It is very important. This is actually nothing to do with religion, whether religious-minded or not, even any religion, okay. You see, should be more kind person, more compassionate person. Now, compassion here means not, you see, some kind of sense of concern of your own relative, your own friend, but human being, on level of human being. Like myself, all human beings want happy life, do not want suffering. And on the basis of that kind of understanding, then develop sense of concern of others' difficulties or suffering. Right? Sense of concern of others' well-being. That very much related with sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. So your work really, our goal is a happy century, non-violent century. Then eventually, no need weapon. Limited sort of fight. You see, we can use our nail. When I was very, very young, I fought with my elder brother. My weapon is my nail. Like that, like cat. Quite effective, but not much danger. So that's very good. And like this. Isn't it? No need other weapon. Oh. Then I think, even if some individual, you see, want to kill other one, weapon not available, firstly, you see, real gun control, real gun control should come here. Then even gun here, no use. And then eventually, the world become demilitarized world. no weapon. Then, I think still, out of 7 billion, I think some mischievous people always there will continue. So maybe some police force, or mobile, wherever need, you can go. As a nation, demilitarized, isn't it? I think possible, if we have some sort of ideas, some visions, then work. So for that, I think our program, that should be our aim, not just merely extend our knowledge, but certain definite aim, goal, and towards that. Of course, my lifetime will not see that, but you, these young people, I always telling, generation of 20th century, a generation of 21st century. Me, now generation of 20th century, now already 80 years old. So next 10, 15, 20 years, then no longer. But you, young people, generation of 21st century, just the beginning. So if we really make attempt now and make proper sort of plan, right? The thinking, not as an American, but as a human being. America, there is complete freedom, in spite some drawbacks of America, but basically, I think wonderful nation. So I think a certain sort of revolutionary thinking, I think, could be started from America. Not just a weapon or dollar. Like that. So I really appreciate all your work. Templeton
Foundation.
Oh, Templeton Foundation. Zanzu Roger Nansu the day, Zanzi Tamdu Kile, Nidu Judu Lojuda, Judun Lotse, Nansun to Cherry the Najoti, Geji Zimbe, Ninsum Gitorian sort of mixer shikte, Southern Soso Sungshiva, Zore, Chishimika, then Nanshu the Cherry Sujun, Nigetazu, Sundurki, Govar Yambur Chevacon, Sondo, Donald Lubunanju, Donald Sondushi Gonza Lana. Better.
And Your Holiness, thank you so much for such profound advice for the students. And we do have 5 questions from the students and one from the faculty.
Okay.
Tashidalek, Your Holiness. It is a great honor for me and my fellow students.
What kind of your dress?
What am I dressed? It's a skirt. Underneath my shirt. It's not a dress.
Yes.
It's okay?
Okay, beautiful.
Oh. Thank you. But I just wanted to say that it was a great honor for us to have this special class with you, our cherished professor. And we've had the opportunity to learn about your life and work, and we've grown to deeply respect the contributions that the Dalai Lamas have made over the centuries to the Tibetans, as well as admire how you have personally impacted the world. And through reading your previous statements, we learned that you may decide to not reincarnate. And I found that this possibility would be a great loss because future generations would not be able to benefit from your continued wisdom. And so, although I'm sure that this is a very complex and more nuanced issue, we would love to hear your thoughts and reasons behind why such a decision would be made. Thank you.
Actually, Dalai Lama Institution, one old institution, I think about 600 years. Then, since Dalai Lama Institution become head of both temple and spirituality, now almost 4 centuries. Then actually, including religious institution, and particularly like the Tibetan Lamas institution, eventually it becomes something the social status. And that, you see, that also is related with a feudal system, I feel. So naturally outdated. As early as 1969, one of my formal statement, officially, I stated the very institution of Dalai Lama should continue or not up to Tibetan people. So then, last 4 centuries, the tradition, Dalai Lama institution, also automatically become head of both temple and kasa spirituality. Now that 2001, you see, I already, you see, achieved elected political leadership. Previously, I appointed. And then my position retired, the semi-retired position. And then 10 years passed. 2000, that means 2011. 2011. Then I totally sort of retired. Not only myself retired, but also it's a 4-century-old tradition, Dalai Lama institution, automatically become head of both. It's a temple and spirituality. Now that formally, voluntarily ended now. So then, as far as Tibetan culture and rich Buddhist knowledge is concerned, not depend on one individual person. I think Buddha Shakyamuni himself, you see, 2000 now, over 600 years, you see, he no longer there. And Nagarjuna, Arya Asanga, Digna, Dharmakirti, all these, you see, masters, you see, they have no sort of reincarnation. But they are teaching, they are writing, still there. That is more important. So people who keep their knowledge, that's the proper way, preservation of Buddha Dharma or Nalanda tradition. So not important the individual person. Then, regarding Dalai Lama, future Dalai Lama, I jokingly was telling people, I, as a sort of 14th Dalai Lama, quite popular. So the century-old institution ended with that kind of popular Dalai Lama. It's great. That grace, my friend, great. Oh, if 15th Dalai Lama come and run out female, some Tibetan Lama, you see, and also some Zen Lama, you see, do that. during it was preaching on throne, preaching. Then at night, running here, there, like dogs, right? Like male dogs, right? So if 15 Dalai Lama, that kind of person come, that's really disgrace. So it is quite sure. One comparatively quite nice Dalai Lama. So that institution, century-old institution, sees on that. I think good, really. As far as preservation of Buddha Dharma is concerned, you see, these institutions, these monastic institutions, at least I think 10,000 students now carry study. So that's, we are a little concerned. You see, I often use appealing these leaders, and leaders themselves also, you see, sometimes complaining to me, right? The quality of the knowledge gradually, degenerate. That's something very serious, very, very serious. Otherwise, you see, these younger generation, they will carry our knowledge another 1 century, 2 centuries, 3 centuries, I think at least a few centuries will keep. So that's more important. But Chinese government, some officials, I think they are more concerned, I mean, they are really serious concern about future Dalai Lama, 15th Dalai Lama. So sometimes I jokingly telling, they have more concern about future Dalai Lama than myself. I have not much concern. Important is, till my life, till this physical workable, they must utilize for meaningful life. Then and come, no worry. My individual future life, that as my favorite prayer, so long space remain, so long sentient beings suffering remain, I will remain in order to do some help, some service. Okay. So the first Dalai Lama, when he become very old, over 80s, 82 or 84? No. So occasionally he expressed, now I'm very old. Then some of his student, he's very good scholar, great scholar, and very good monk. So he expressed, now I'm too old. And some of his student, you see, told him, now according to your certain sort of dreams or certain sort of visions, you say you will go some sort of heavenly sort of place. Then he expressed, I have no wish to born some of these heavenly sort of land. My only wish is to born where more suffering, which I can make some contribution. I very much attracted, you see, that part of his Kasatimindi, Namda, life story, really. So I determined. But as far as institution is concerned, it's not much important. To the Chinese, say, officials who are very much concerned about the next reincarnation of Dalai Lama, and I jokingly is expressing, firstly, they should accept the Buddhist theory of rebirth. Then second, they should choose reincarnation of Mo Zedong and reincarnation of Deng Xiaoping. Then they have the certain right to say something about Dalai Lama's reincarnation. Otherwise, it's nonsense. Illogical, like that. Yes, next question.
Your Holiness, my question may seem a little out of place given that you have been a monk your whole life. I apologize if this is the case. For lay people...
Of course. Oh, yes, yes, yes.
For lay people of the West, we have found it can be very hard to cultivate deep relationships based in love without also experiencing attachment. Through our program, we have come to learn that attachment is at the root of human suffering. Do you have any advice for how we could go about cultivating deep relationships that are not rooted in attachment? Tujeche.
What? Tujeche. Because attachment maps. Did it? I think the sexual desire also, I think, related with because of the genuine love without attachment. Although the exact meaning of attachment, I don't know. Usually, you see, we consider attachment as something biased and very much oriented about others' attitude. Genuine love, not biological factors of love. Genuine love is unbiased. Consider as a living being or as a human being. They deserved our love, our respect. So do not consider importance of their attitude. So your enemy, as far as the attitude is concerned, negative. So we call enemy. But still, they are human being. They are sentient being. So keep genuine love, affection. That's genuine love. So I think sexual love on that level, I think possible. The sexual desire or that action, also the biologically, the method to reproduce. So then extreme sort of love, or attachment, too much attachment. Then attachment and hatred, you see, quite often go side by side. You see, too much sort of attachment, too much love. Then very slight sort of something goes wrong. You immediately feel negative feeling. And then this is divorce, quite often. And worst case, killing. So I think the desire go too much attachment. Attachment, I think, biased one and also very narrow. Pick up something so particular area, not much, not holistic. 또 그 저디 말해. 그래. So genuine loving kindness or affection, even sexual desire, very normal way solve, very sound basis, and then long-lasting sort of marriage. But very detailed or deeper way, I don't know. I think you should know. And I think some research work. One my friend, a great scientist, you see, he considered anger very much related with mental exaggeration. Right? When anger develops, the object which you feel angry appears very negative, but 90% of that negativeness is mental projection. So that's the Buddhist concept, also very similar, wonderful. Then we discuss in our sort of discussions. I also mentioned, then too much attachment develop. Then how much sort of mental projection sort of involved. Then he considered the attachment is something normal. So that's typical Western way of thinking. Like that. Next question.
Your Holiness, during our time here, we've studied the nature of the mind, consciousness, and what it means to be a sentient being. As you're well aware, in the last century, technology has advanced quite rapidly, and some scientists hope that artificial intelligence could advance to a point where machines have the capacity to think and feel. From a Buddhist perspective, if a machine had the ability to independently think and feel, would it be considered a sentient being? If so, would such a machine potentially be able to cultivate compassion and attain enlightenment? Tujuche.
I think too early to say definite. Wait another, I think, 10 years. Basically, I don't think it's a mission. No matter how sort of sophisticated mission, you see, able to produce so-called our mind, human mind. I don't think. I think genetics, the punguze, genetic, some kind of synthesized sort of certain genetic, that eventually can act as a basis of consciousness. Then I think some kind of new life, new mind may develop. But mission alone, I don't think. But if mission eventually, you see, develop something living being, a new brain, then I think we can, we can input survey. We can input that brain without anger, without jealousy, then most welcome. Full of compassion. Very good, wonderful. I don't think that's possible, I think. Yeah. As I mentioned earlier, I think a different form of body, different form of brain, and accordingly, certain way of thinking, different way of thinking. That's possible. I think in the past, our own evolution from jellyfish, then it is certain because of the animal, right? Then gradually become like monk or because of monkey or these things, then eventually human being. And the next, I think, several thousand years, our shape of our brain may change, may develop different sort of the shape, right? So I think basic emotion, even tiny animal, basic emotion there. So the brain, which usually is to develop human intelligence, that part is differences, even animal. Some more intelligent one, some less. And age also make differences. Very young age, same human brain, but not yet developed, the less intelligence. Then through training also you see some different intelligence. So that part I don't think, you see, mission can do. Like that. Next question.
Your Holiness, we have had the opportunity to watch documentaries on your life, and something that caught my attention was how easily you connected with people from diverse backgrounds. I noticed how comfortable others are in your presence. As students, this is a quality that we very much hope to cultivate. So I'm curious, what allows you to connect with strangers so easily? When you meet somebody new, what do you see in them?
I always consider the human level. I often used to telling, like the former president of the United States, Mr. Bush. Now next month I'm going to meet him. I really love him. Wonderful. On a human level. As a president, but still, you see, human being level is more important. So, as soon as we met first time, we immediately become friend because, you see, he very much expressed as a human being, not president. Some leaders, including some American president, when we met, they consider more importance of president's position. Then it is sometimes, you see, difficult to come closer. At the human level, if the other one, I always consider human level is more important. Then you see no barrier, no religious barrier, no racial barrier, no difference of nationality, nothing. Same human being. Same sort of emotions, same intelligence or same human mind. And then they want happy life, do not want suffering. Me too. And occasionally some problems, mentally some problems, you see, start. Or emotions sometimes disturb our mind. Same. So I never consider I'm something special. I never. When I give talk, you see, I never consider I'm something different. As a Tibetan or as a Buddhist. Furthermore, as a Dalai Lama. I never consider that. So Bishop Dudu, our long-time friend, really friend, very, very sort of, very, very close. So sometimes he is a half joke, you see, he telling me, or you are sort of important Lama or spiritual leader, so you should be more, you should act as a more holy person. But meantime, you see, he described me as a mischievous person. Then I also immediately respond, I consider you also a mischievous person. So remain as a mischievous person. Then we friendship, really very, very deep. Oh, wonderful. Recently, at this very room, we spent few hours. Right? Very, very joyful. I very much appreciate, in spite of his age and some sort of illness, some surgery. He had recovered, right? Recently recovered. In spite of some difficulties, he come here. I very much appreciate. So human level, that's very important. So President Bush, after Iraq crisis happened, in another my meeting with him, then I expressed, I love you, I respect you, but some of your policy is concerned, I have some reservation. And he smiled. So perhaps next month, when I meet him, I may sort of teasing him, I don't know. His policy, Iraq policy, now still create a lot of problems. Very powerful nation, America, still find it difficult to solution. Of course, these things is unpredictable. Right? As far as his motivation is, I know, very sincere. He really wants democracy and freedom to Iraqi people. and a safer place in that area. But the method used force. So that's wrong method. I think advisors at that time, I think the situation, I think too much simplified, simplified. Once President Saddam Hussein gone, then everything okay. The reality not like that. Much more complicated. Like that. Then, next question.
Your Holiness, we are aware how much you value the integration of modern science and Tibetan monastic curriculum. Are there certain aspects of Tibetan Buddhist culture and education that we as Western students could benefit from incorporating in our lives and our own education system?
The curriculum in our monastic institution, it made according study as one Buddhist student. However, in the subject which we study, I think firstly now, among the world religion, the two groups, theistic religion group, non-theistic religion group. Non-theistic, there's one part of Sangha philosophy, non-theistic, Jain philosophy, non-theistic, Buddhist philosophy, non-theistic. That means no concept of creator, but ourselves as a creator, self-creation. So, in Buddhism, how to change our future, then ultimately related with our emotion. So, since individual person, individual sentient being, have the main responsibility to achieve better future, happier days, we have to tackle our emotion. So for that, you have to you have to full of knowledge about map, I usually call map of emotion, map of mind. So these included. But we can now, we can make distinctions. That part as a science of inner world, science of mind. Not necessarily, this is religious matter. Then another field, philosophy, like quantum physics. That's philosophy. Although you see, Buddhist practitioner, the knowledge of mind, utilize to transform our mind. And these full of knowledge about ultimate reality, like quantum physics, also utilize to know the wrong conception. Wrong conception is actually basis of all destructive emotion. But itself is considered pure philosophy and science. So, three parts: science, philosophy, then religion. So these two, if we take separately, then it is something universal knowledge. The third about Buddhist religion is only for Buddhists. So therefore, the our text, about 300 volumes, all translated from foreign language, mainly Sanskrit language, and some Pali, some extent Pali, and also I think some volumes translated from Chinese. Perhaps I think 15, about I think 15, 20 volumes. Do you know? We are quite lazy. Otherwise, we can check about about 300 volumes. Should they connect you to Goda Yorba? Goda should they Yorba? So out of 300 volumes, since I think now around, I think, because the logos are the Tamut Shani. I think a few years ago, since few years ago, as a result of meeting with modern scientists, over 30 years, some of our knowledge about emotion, about mind, many scientists really are sort of impressed. So then these should not consider part of Buddhist practice, should not take separate. So then few years ago, I suggested to some scholars, I expressed publicly. And then eventually we set up one group of scholars. So out of 300 volumes, now three parts: science, philosophy, and the religion. So the science now already compiled. So already you see English translation, almost now complete. The Chinese translation also, I think, almost complete. The Hindi translation also. Then Russian translation, Mongolian translation, Korean translation, German translation. We already sort of almost now completed these translations. So these use as for academic subject, not a religious subject. It can be universal. So I think, therefore, you see, Mind and Life institutions started about strictly. Now in this very room, you see, several occasions we discuss. In these now, because the 27th, our last meeting, 27th. So these meetings, several meetings, I never sort of talk about next life or about salvation, these things. This is for Buddhists. We are talking about our mind, emotion, and how to tackle these things. That's all. And philosophy, including quantum physics, like that. Then, to Buddhist, then you see the third part as a Buddhist literature. That's then relevant, like that. Okay. Next question.
Your Holiness, we represent a small part of a very large team of science faculty, a large and growing team. Last summer, we had the opportunity to work with the monastic students in integrating traditional methods of learning at the monasteries, including Tibetan debate. We recognize this as a very sophisticated and complex method of inquiry, and we were hoping to use this to better support students to learn the science curriculum. Do you see Tibetan Buddhist debate as a good method of learning science curriculum?
That is logic, Buddhist logic, Nalanda logic. I think that's available only in Sanskrit tradition. Pali tradition, logic to that.
So using logic and reasoning may not be there in the Pali tradition, but it's very much in the Nalanda
I'm not
tradition.
very sure. I'm not very sure. Last year, on occasion, I met some scholars from Thailand, some monks, monk scholars, as well as some lay people, lay sort of scholars, Thai Buddhist universities sort of scholar. Then I mentioned about Four Noble Truths and 16 kasa.
16 characteristics, features of the Four Noble Truths.
We are sort of same. You see, same sort of kasota. Kasota.
Same understanding.
Same understanding. Or Pali or Sanskrit is the same. These things same. So then I ask, according to your tradition, when you explain these 16 points, relying on quotation or use reasons? Then they told me they are relying on Buddha's quotation. Whereas the Dignak's writing, Pramana Vatika Karika, no,
Brahmana Samuchaya.
Mainly, I think the Dignak Mare, Dharmakiti, Pramana Vatika Karika, the second chapter, out of 4 chapters, second chapter, the detailed explanation about 16, these Four Noble Truths and 16 these things. You see, use reasons. So then eventually, of course, Nagarjuna's own sort of writing, Madhyamika Mulakarika, say, always use reason. So
the text use what is known as reductio ad absurdum logic and also the formal logic.
So then, you see, later, Dignak and Dharmakirti, you see, these two scholars, Nalanda, you see, they especially wrote some kasate, Praman, logic. I think today, among the Buddhist countries, I think now Chinese, same sort of source from Nalanda tradition, but they not much pay attention about Buddhist logic. So these books not available, Chinese translation. Other you see Nagarjuna's work, all these, I think many of the books, text, already translated into Chinese before Buddhism reached Tibet. But this logic, they not much pay attention. So only available in Tibetan language. And not only translation available, but also you see 1,000 years, over 1,000 years, you see we study this logic. So that myself, when I sort of study logic, although the theory level logic level,
so although in the monastic curriculum, when the students start studying what is known as logic and reasoning, they already learn the procedures of logic.
I think 10, my age, I think 9, 10, I already study these things. But then more serious study about Pramana Vatika Karika, that I think much later, I think 19 or around 20 years old. So, you see, study of that logic, that logical sort of important text. As a result, I become more skeptical. Whenever I heard something, immediately, why? And some sort of text, read, again, why? So that's something very important. In order to carry further investigation, that kind of mental attitude, why? That's very important. whatever you heard or you saw, you accept, but then no further sort of possibility of further investigation. So the logic, very, very important. So that also, you see, sharpening our mind, our intelligence. I don't know, brain specialist, if they open brain of one top scholar, one very, very, very great logician's brain, and a brain which easily accept whatever you see, he or she saw or heard. Oh yes, yes, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I think brain, these two persons, I don't think much differences. What do you think?
I think there will be some.
Kaza?
You get it.
You say. So in any way, logic, and then the terms where the logic
the how you actually, the procedure of putting the reasonings.
다 다도 세웠거든 주단디 패지는 가서 벽에 날마도 개인안에 따다서는 매버서도 왔다 신의지기 할때 듣는데 신의 수요 얼마도 좀
So when you debate in logic, when you use logic, you use syllogism, saying, taking this subject is so and so because of so and so. So this kind of procedure of debating seems to be not there in the Chinese even. And maybe they are making something up, at least this, but it's only in Tibetan tradition.
So I think only Tibetan language now fully sort of can express fully about these the logical sort of the procedure way. So it is very, very useful. One occasion in South India, our scientific meeting. So the Canary, America,
California, those professors was Chris now. Chris, French.
Oh. So he very much impressed, you see, about the procedure way, about the debate. So while there's some discussions among scientists, he uses that way. He very much, and this very room, some occasion, you see, some scientists, you see, that technique can be utilized some other subject. Then I mentioned, yes, of course. This is just instrument. Instrument.
It's a verbal kind of an instrument that we can use.
So that very helpful to definite to the precise children.
So it's helpful to understand things precisely.
So it is. I think typically it's a scientific research. I think that method, I think, can be very, very useful. However, so therefore, I think you need more work. The English vocabulary, and
so even the vocabularies may not be yet there in English.
That you should create. The Tibetan, I think one advantage, when Buddhism reached Tibet, 8th century, and then the Shankarakshita, top scholar of Nalanda at the time, you see, he introduced Buddhism in Tibet according his own way. That's Nalanda tradition, not a Lamaism. Lamaism sometimes, I think, there's some rubbish Lama in Tibet, drinking, wife, and seeking sort of sex like that. Then, you see, without the proper sort of the Vinaya rules, and then society, as an ignorant society, although Buddhist faith very strong, but very, very ignorant. So they consider high seat, big name is more important than the knowledge. So that I think great damage, I really feel. So therefore, I think some Western sort of visitors, then they saw our Tibetan Buddhists very much concerned because of the very much importance way, lamas. So I think usually they call Lamaism. So actually, if you know precisely the Tibetan Buddhism is the exact sort of same tradition of Nalanda tradition. So at that time, our own language not yet fully developed. So while translation carrying new word then developed. So as a result, then eventually the Sanskrit word and the Tibetan word then
so the Tibetan words became the exact kind of equivalent to the Sanskrit terms.
Whereas Chinese case, already Chinese literature or these things quite sort of developed. So then some translation from Sanskrit,
So whereas in the Chinese translations of Buddhist texts, because China already had its own culture, quite advanced maybe, and because of that they already have different words and vocabulary that were already in use. So they tried to use those vocabularies which have certain baggage already, and then when they use them to translate Buddhist texts into Chinese, I mean the meanings don't sometimes become very clear.
So I think we need more work, and eventually, you see, that system, the logic system, I think very, very helpful in all fields of the subject. Right? I think although you see, we try among Tibetans, the school students, not very successful. I think due to some negligence. Now next, I think tomorrow, from tomorrow, the 3 days, I'm going to talk students and also including a few hundred teachers, different schools. Last 56 years since we come to India as a refugee. And then early 60s, we start our school. Originally, some good scholars on senior level, Kongsoro. So at that time, you see, the debate already started in our school. But then the quality of the Tibetan teacher, not much of the knowledge in these things. They themselves not much knowledge, then not much interest. And then concerned officials also not much concerned. Now last few years,
now this study of logic and debate in the secular schools have been revived.
So wonderful. See your desire. See, eventually, I think we can set as one small group translator, and make new text in English about these things, not just one individual's expression. Set up. If you want, if you determined that, then firstly, you see some sort of the assistance from your side. Then also from our side also we can sort of supply as well. We can arrange. Then money. I think the Dalai Lama Trust, I think really worthwhile to spend, to make some donation. And then also I can ask some of my friend. As a Pagana, the Chubuzana, ngulundu omasho serganzo. Omasho serge.
Yes. So,
Tibetan,
so in Tibetan there is this expression when we actually go to ask for funds from people. It's expressed in the sense of, with the metaphor of milking a cow.
So if you see, in English word, in English language, you see these translations available, it could be, I think, helpful to other language. I think Chinese also. Although you see some Chinese monk who study, is Tibetan, they already is doing something. So then some sort of seminar, some of the Chinese, you see, who are already working these things, and then your side, you see, come together, you see, exchange different experiences. I think then should be target within 2 years, let's say, ready to publish some book. Then very good. Isn't it?
Very much.
Good. 생각해서 계속 지금 아이디어야 그렇지. 야, 수비쟁에서 개발하신 또 로디가 없다.
So sometimes it so happens that we come up with good ideas when we get together, but once we are separated, then nobody really works on them. So
that I think
forgotten.
My experience, you see, sometimes wonderful idea, just idea, including Nobel laureates meeting, very good idea. Then once that meeting finished, nothing happened. Those people who committed fully killing, they have really sort of program step by step, increasing violence. Our work, nice idea, oh, wonderful, wonderful, then nothing. So one time in Melbourne, the World Parliament of Religion, see, in the past, I think many occasions, I think almost every occasion, they invited me, I visited, I participated. So then Melbourne meeting, that last meeting, I expressed, oh, this organization, Parliament of World Religion, wonderful, but looks sleepy. Nothing. Occasionally some gathering. And then people who participate that, they took that opportunity, that's the opportunity to give address, their own address. Oh.
Hand out the business card.
Oh. Some Indian, on Africa, I think Cape Town, one meeting, I was there. So some Indian, they suppose, I think, spiritual leaders. I never heard their name in India, but in the conference there, Cape Town, they show something very important sort of spiritual leader, and their address, a lot of word there. Address. So therefore, last year, I think the leader of the organization, World Parliament of Religion, he came to see me in America last year when I was, which place, I can't remember. They told me, at Melbourne meeting, Dalai Lama expressed it is sleepy organization. So since then, they are now trying to become more active. So the coming October, they're going to meet Kuala Saja.
Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake. Oh, yes. Some question Salt Lake, Minnesota. Salt Lake City. So therefore, now I'm wondering, what kind of they are thinking more active work about World Parliament of Religion. Now, it's very important. This moment, the religious faith, supposed to see the source of compassion, forgiveness, that itself now causing division and killing. Very sad. We cannot remain indifferent way. Whatever way, we have to make attempt. I think when sooner or later, we will die. At that moment, if you feel, oh, I have, so at
that time, if you were to think that I have really been not able to do anything in this world, I mean, it's really sad.
Huh? It's not question whether can achieve or not. That's something different. But we have to make attempt. We all part of 7 billion human beings. The 7 billion human beings problem. Each of us have the responsibility to think seriously and make attempt. We should not sort of say, oh, this person will do this person did. The United Nations do something. Each of us, you see, have to make attempt. Then, as I mentioned earlier, try to more people, right? A group. And then we can set up some kind of NGO like that, and more active, then spread, isn't it? So these young people, bright people, so you have a long future. Think, not only United States or Emory University, wider way. Whole world, West, East, and America have some potential. Okay. 도시시, thank you. 거기서 안되디 가자.
Minnesota Group, University of Minnesota.
태안식이 왜 끼지야지 왜?
Do you have any question?
Yes. Happy birthday, Your Holiness. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm leading a group of 17 people. We are students and faculty at the Tibetan Healing Initiative at the Center for Spirituality and Healing at the University of Minnesota. And we are passionate about Tibetan medicine, and we've been doing scholarly work about Tibetan medicine for nearly 20 years. We know in Minnesota, we have the second largest Tibetan community in the US, and we work closely with the Tibetan American Foundation of Minnesota and with the Mensikang. So for 10 years, University of Minnesota students have been studying at the Mensikang. And we want to work even more. So we're wondering, you've been to the University of Minnesota twice in 2001 and 2011, and in connection with the Tibetan Medicine Conference we conducted, and you come to the Mayo Clinic frequently. And so we're wondering when you might be able to come back, and faculty at the Tibetan Healing Initiative, and we have 3 of us here, we would love to meet with you and talk about how we can do more work with the Mensikang involving Tibetan medicine. So we're wondering if there's any opportunity for you to come back soon, or any other way that we can meet with you to talk about how we can do more work involving Tibetan medicine.
Yes, certainly. Last year, Rosada, Rosada.
He's only spent the Tibetan New Year there.
And yes, and I was there. It was wonderful. Thank you, just wonderful.
So this year, I don't know. You see, my sort of the plan already fixed. But I'm Mayo to go October. In October, my annual medical checkup in Mayo. Oh, next April. Yes, I think possibility. Although you see, getting older and older, and more invitation.
Yeah.
Just I mentioned this, someone was my friend. I mentioned, you see now, getting older, more invitation, but time is you cannot extend. Year, only 12 months. Month, 30 or 31 days. You cannot extend. So invitation, more invitation from here. So, but certainly, when I visit Kasare Mayo Clinic, and I think I can spend it 1 day or 2 days, and large number of Tibetans also there.
Yes.
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 The Tibetan medicine, you see, actually, you see, something like synthesized. The certain ancient medical system from Afghanistan or I think Iran, this area, and then India's sort of Ayurvedic medical system, then Chinese medical system. In the 8th century, under the Tibetan emperor's auspices, some kind of small international medical seminar took place. So, since then, seems to be synthesized medical system. And basically, it is quite useful and effective. I'm one old patient of Tibetan medicine. Very useful. Except gallbladder problem, Tibetan medical medical fail to melt all those stones. Then finally, you see, His Holiness the Dalai Lama gallbladder now gone through surgery. So that is a failure of Tibetan medicine. One of the failure. Meantime, this is some other sort of illness because of poor
indigestion,
digestion, or these things, and also liver. I think Tibetan medicine, if you take longer period, I think really, as a preventive measure, wonderful, wonderful. Then some emergency, allopathic medicine is better. But as a preventive measure, Tibetan medicine is really wonderful, really wonderful. So I appreciate your interest, and we need the Tibetan medical sort of system further further develop. That I always telling the concerned people, we should not sort of content or whatever is mentioned in the book and content that not good. You see, discuss with other tradition, Chinese tradition and Indian tradition, Arabic tradition, and in allopathic, of course, modern medicine. It's very, very important. Like modern medicine, every year, some sort of kasoda further develop through experiment. Wonderful. Tibetan medicine also, I think, should follow that kind of pattern, like that. So, thank you.